Welcome to the SoulScape Show, where together we will explore and discover the depth and breadth of your soul. I am Gabrielle Spencer. I am a multidimensional intuitive channel and healer of disconnected and separated heart and soul consciousness. And I am your host. Today we have with us the amazing and world-renowned Jill Mattson. She is a widely recognized expert and composer in the field of sound and color healing. She has produced 9 musical CDs with intriguing magical tracks using ancient and modern techniques and special healing frequencies to achieve profound benefits. She is a channel of Atlantean Masters. And today we will be discussing Atlantis Rising, Reclaiming Your Power. Please welcome Jill Mattson. Hello and welcome everybody. This is Gabrielle Spencer. Thank you for joining me on the SoulScape Show. I'm very excited tonight because I have Jill Mattson here with me, and it is 12-12-12. What does that mean? We want to know. We're going to ask Jill. We're going to ask the Atlantean Masters. We have such a great show. Jill is a sound healer, color healer, Atlantean healer. She is an ancient soul. I mean, there are not tons of them around, believe it or not. There are lots of old souls, but the ancients just bring the fine tuning for what it is that we need here at this time. This is their job, is to get them, to get all of the rest of us moving in the direction that we need to go. And that's really such a special assignment. It's hard too, but but it's special. So I would like to introduce everyone Jill Mattson. Thank you for coming, Jill.
Oh, thank you for asking me. I'm excited to revisit Atlantis. I'm assuming anybody that's interested in this topic has been there. So let's see if we can jog some memories.
Yes, the old souls. It's Atlantis, I feel, is it's a bittersweet for many old souls. So we're going to have to dive into what that means. So if you'd like, start off wherever you feel. If you want to tell them a little about yourself or how it was you even awakened to your gifts and to your mission here in this lifetime.
Oh, I was writing an autobiography of God, and I was very sincere Christian at the time. And I started with the Old Testament. And, you know, God just got in bad moods, and I don't know, he had PMS at times, and I was often covering for God when I'm writing this autobiography. And I made an epiphany, and that was that I was going only for the most loving God that I could imagine, dream of, and because that reflected on who I could be. And any doctrine that showed me less than that, I was going to reject. And it was a huge, huge, huge change for me. And it's almost like I flushed and all that old dogma left, and I was I started seeing visions, hearing things as soon as I
So it was the decision to reject the dogma and realize and see the truth behind it. Mm-hmm. That's what you're telling me. This is so important. And it's kind of funny that you bring it up because I had an opportunity with a member of my family, just my extended family. I grew up Catholic, and I'm the 5th of 7. So, we span over almost 20 years, actually. So it's really fascinating to speak to siblings sometimes. And it was really an interesting conversation because it was dogma meets new understanding. So it was really interesting because, the tendency for people is to fight for their position. And for me, it was just simply like, it's perfect wherever you are. This is where I am, and I'm good with it, and I'm glad that that suits you, and it's all perfect. And it's really an interesting thing not to have it make you go, right? Especially when it's family. But anyway, all right. So that was your awakening, is when the shroud was taken off, to say, okay, there's more to this.
And Atlantis, let me think. I just have many memories. I remember being in a crystal temple. It's circular, and I have like a black hooded robe on. I'm a healer, and we're doing sacred geometry around someone who needs a leg grown, and we're toning. We're using sound. We're using crystals, and the angle at which we sing is very critical. And it's a combination of like, almost like if your voice was a water pistol, you know, you get a different spray this way than that way. And we're using space and sound, and we were regrowing limbs. I also recall that the temple that I was in had a skull, and the crystal skull was the generator. It was in the very center of the round dome, the crystal dome of the temple. And I just, clear as day, I could see it. It had like red eyes. The skull moved. It not only generated the community, but it was like the power generator for the temple. It was the library. It was a method of communications. We would talk with higher beings, just like a computer. It was tied into the other skulls of the other temples, and each skull was programmed. We were programming each skull with an attribute of God, and it would radiate that to us. The really exciting thing about skulls is that we know, like with resonance, you have like one violin here and one here. If you play the A over here sounds. It's like magic. Energy transfers on the same frequency. Well, energy also transfers in the same shape resonance. And Sherry Edwards, who can hear your cells communicating with her abnormal hearing, she can hear little volumes you and I can't. Every shape, she says, has its own characteristic sound. And that's what sacred geometry is all about, the sounds of harmony, sounds found in nature. So in this healing example that I've remembered, we were using sacred geometry crystals and sound. And it was very powerful. But the big reason, I think I'd like to tie in Atlantis then and Atlantis today. And I'm just going to say that I'm sure everybody listening has been in Atlantis, or you'd be bored with this topic. And so there's a subconscious resonance. Our bodies, our subconscious mind, is much bigger than our conscious mind. And if, like we as an individual, we as a collective, many of us here from Atlantis, if we the collective remember Atlantis, we have like resonance with Atlantis, so it becomes quite powerful. My memories towards the end of the civilization, let me back up. Atlantis being 250,000 years old, and in the beginning we're in the fifth dimension and we're evolving. We think we're trying to go up to God, but we were getting more and more individual. Why? So we could learn to be a God, so we could experience forgiveness. Just like you go to a gym. Yeah, it hurts if you lift muscles, but if you want those muscles, that's what you do. And so it's very much like that. We're all choosing to be an individual, to go into 3D, but yet we weren't conscious of it even then, even though we were higher conscious than we are now. And so as the time goes on, we begin to sink, we become more individual, and we sink into 3D, where duality exists. And at first that's okay. I think it's like a battery, positive and negative poles. But over time, it becomes evil and good. And, you know, we're shocked. We're shocked at what other people do. We're shocked at selfishness. We're shocked at egos. We're shocked at all the things that we've come to know, and not necessarily love here on 3D. And I believe that most of us felt somewhat guilty about it. Like an awful lot of people felt they really contributed to the fall of Atlantis because they were beginning to be human and make mistakes. I believe we were all beginning to be human and we were all making mistakes. And it's something maybe during in the show we can do some type of release or something, but we need to get over that because we carry that energy forward.
I have a question about it. I have my understanding of one of my roles because I had more than one life in Atlantis. But my understanding was this is super simplified, but it was almost that we had a hard time working together. Like everybody had their faction. Every faction was doing their thing. And the greatest aspect of the downfall was that we were unable to come together and use all of our gifts and our energy towards one objective, to raise the frequency. Instead, everybody had their, I'm going to call it the pet projects. Everybody had their pet projects and the teams that we were on. And that ultimately was what caused our downfall. It wasn't that we didn't have the power. It wasn't that we didn't have the understanding. It was that we couldn't come together. So for me in this lifetime, that feels like the underlying thing for me is all that we talk about, and we want people to see things the way we understand them and how we see them and perceive them, that is exactly the path that we went before. And that it's most important for us to get over it.
Yeah.
We're all light, and that's your job, okay? That's the team we're on. We're on team of light, right? And all of our beliefs, it just doesn't matter. And that's the part I think that is frustrating for the old and ancient souls, is that the same sheet of music, the harmonic that we're trying to create, is just about being able to reach the highest aspect of light that you can, that you're able to hold and transmit. That's the job in my understanding of it.
Okay, well, let me tell you that I'm going to say something very similar. First, I'm going to tell you my story, and you'll see how it dovetails with yours. And then I'm going to talk about the role of bringing these pieces back together.
Good.
There was 12 temples in Atlantis, and each temple had a different aspect of God that they created this beautiful energy for. And they were in the beginning, very nicely synced and working together. As I said, as we began to evolve, we became individuals. And my temple became more important than your temple. And
we're the cooler team. My team was the cooler team. No. I know for sure that in one lifetime, I definitely drowned. But anyway, go ahead.
But the thing that I remember very specifically, I was in the sound temple. Mm-hmm. And I was making sound codes in portholes so that we would evolve. So it's like we were more evolved then. So we were more conscious, like conscious of a group tribe. So the group would think and act and telepathy and work together. We definitely weren't separate. And I was doing codes so that we would have less connections and we would perceive we're only ourselves. And I wasn't the only one. Of course, there was others in the temple, but I remember out through many, many lifetimes, I'm doing this. I'm doing codes to help us experience individuality. Now I'm doing codes to bring back people to the collective. So I think many people's lives, this life, very important now because we're birthing in a new golden age. But in this life, I think people are coming back to finish their project, to finish their work, and to repair whatever they perceive the greatest problem was. That is what they're going to be fixing here. And think that when Atlantis sunk, one mystery school or one temple to China, one to Egypt, one to Hawaii, one to the Americas, and they all have these different healing modalities. So now, today, look at you. You're bringing forth and you're sharing people from this temple, that temple, this temple, that temple. So all the beautiful listeners can look at all these different things and pull them together for themselves. So I believe that Atlantis is very important for those of us who've been there this life, because we are taking our final encore and wrapping it up. And that's birthing us into the new golden age.
So how do the Atlantean energies and even the portal of energy that's officially today, which we all know, it's us humans that love dates. The truth is, these energies have not quit all year, right? It's been just insane in a good way. As long as you're able to assimilate them and integrate them and keep up with it, that's been a little bit more of a challenge sometimes. Not always, not every time, sometimes. But how are the Atlantean energies? What's being awakened? What's converging? I feel like it's a big convergence. But tell me what you're getting and what you're channeling about the Atlantean energies, the now energies, and how the Atlantean are coming together with the new ones. And I feel like it's upgrading from what we had before. But that's my read. Tell me what you get.
I feel like Atlantis being 250,000 years, it's very hard to talk about it as like one energy.
Yes.
Because I feel like it started here, and by the time we got done, we're way down at the bottom. So we're evolving into matter. We're becoming separate so that we can grow up quick as gods, and each and every one of us, just to be a creator, whatever word is more comfortable. And now this is what we've done with Atlantis. I feel we're doing this now. So it's very balancing, it's very healing, and I think that when we resonate and we start to feel about Atlantis, give our imagination permission to let go, work with Akashic records, maybe a crystal skull, read books on it, or just try and have little fleeting memories. It's like we connect, and when we connect, you get like a little your own individual portal. For example, I'm now doing sound codes because I remember doing them, and that's where I got the ideas. I have a body healing CD in which I've remembered as children we would have these little toys. They would be wooden toys of organs, like a pancreas. Like, where's Barbie when you need her? Nah, I got a pancreas toy for Christmas. Anyway, besides that. But the children were learning the tones of the organ. Each organ, they learned to sing them so that they could keep themselves in tune, because they've lost their highly clairaudient or clairvoyant and clairaudience. So they used to tune themselves and live extraordinarily long lives. So through a word of mouth, passing them down, they were teaching the tones. And I have a deep wave body healing CD from a memory. I'm bringing Atlantis back in many of my tools, just because I allow myself the freedom to say, "Isn't this good?" And I just kind of like connect and download.
Hold on for me a second. I'm going to share with everybody. Do you see my beautiful baby?
Hoping it was cute. I could see you bending us.
That's because she is trying to get my attention, which is not, she's usually much better and she just stays with me in my office. But she's going to go outside because she is doing her best to disrupt me.
What's her name?
But that is my sweet baby girl. She is a little Kai Ken, just the sweetest baby. Okay, so I know Atlantis was super big on the harmonics. And it's funny because when you first started talking about the temple, I have a picture over here on my wall that was done by Amara Dreamseed. And way back when, a long time ago, gosh, how fast time is going, right? I picked up this picture in Sedona. And it was really at the very beginning of my journey. And I just really resonated with it. But the picture is of all I'm going to say tribes of the Atlanteans gathered in a temple and linked together, and they've created this massive Sri Yantra sacred geometry in the middle, and it spins all the way up, going all the way up. It's very beautiful. And this is the part about the harmonics, but also taking sound and the frequency and bringing it all together, right?
Today, people are excited about frequencies and this frequency and that, and so am I. But when you look at sound healing, you need to look at frequencies, rhythms, harmonics. And harmonics, for those who don't know, it's an after ripple of sound. Or if you have a string, there's a vibration that goes the whole way, and then the next one goes half the way, third the way, fourth the way, fifth the way, on up to 16. And this mathematical pattern happens with every sound. So I'll show them you in my voice. This voice right here is very, very rich in harmonics. Whereas this one's quite narrow and doesn't have the same harmonics. You can also hear harmonics on a vowel. A, E. Now listen to the pitch. It's the same. A, E. E sounds higher, but it's the same pitch. It's because in the after ripple, you're getting a higher amount of sounds in the E than you are in the A. So it sounds higher. So why do we even care? We care because the mathematical harmonic pattern is in every sound. That means it's in our body when we're healthy. So when we are healthy, our digestion, if you look at the chemical, it's from chemistry, there's a chemical formula for digestion or metabolism or thinking, all kinds of formulas in your body. And if you put in the cycles per second for the items in the chemical formula, you'll see the math works. Furthermore, when you look at digestion and these chemical processes in the body, they're harmonic chains. The math equals that of harmonics. So it makes sense. Everything's energy. We're all energy. Everything vibrates, and everything has after ripples of harmonics. So we're kind of like a big Rubik's Cube, and we have all these little harmonic chains, and we need to try to stay in tune. So when we start to focus more on the harmonics, we're like, it's a big step forward because it makes a tremendous impact on our body. But also, I would say, it also perhaps interfaces with past lives, with other people we've interacted. I mean, you get these kind of like chains of energy, and nature tends to follow a few simple patterns. I believe that harmonics is one of the patterns that makes up just about everything. Mm-hmm. And in order to get a live harmonic, you need live music. It's not okay to do digital. Now, I have done some harmonics on my CDs, but I've come up with software to create root notes that match the harmonic pattern. But
cool.
Things like that, our conversation doesn't have real harmonics because they're average, they're digital. So our CDs, our music, our phones, it's all GMO sound when it comes to harmonics. And part of our sentence is live. So even if you're humming in the house, humming in the shower, listening to live music, that's why I've created crystal instruments, because they have crystal harmonics. They're going to carry the consciousness of the crystal plus the harmonic. And people are excited about bowls, and that's why. And just like I said, A, E, and you can hear the difference in harmonics. Well, that's the difference between a gold bowl, a silver bowl, a platinum bowl. They're all going to sound a little different. A crystal bowl, because they have different harmonics. And I believe we feed on them. It's kind of like, here's sound healing, and here's where we are today. And then when we really get advanced, we're really going to step into that harmonic piece.
Okay.
My 2 cents.
All right, we have a couple questions, so we're going to let you answer because this Sunny is asking, what frequency do we need in order to keep energy vampires away of any kind, especially invisible?
I would say rather than a frequency, I would simply say, for one, to alter your voice, okay? I'm going to be an energy vampire for a moment. And I'm talking about, I really need some help. Can you hear my voice? It's kind of slow and
So that would
all
be victim frequency.
out of you. Alrighty. So
Yes,
people will give away what they're doing in their voice.
right.
So I would suggest imagine your root chakra. And when you imagine your root chakra, you kind of dig in, your voice goes down in pitch, and it gets a little slower, and the harmonics get very full. This type of voice repels vampires. It's just a suggestion.
So in healing, sound healing, making the harmonic that you are expressing in real time whole, I see it as whole. Like I always explain that looking at somebody's energetic field, to me, many times it looks like various shades of Swiss cheese, right? So we've got holes and some shredding and some tears, and and a lot of people look just completely frazzled, and that's too because of all that's being transmitted just electronically. And so keeping ourselves whole is a really big thing. But what can people do to help that aspect, to go from that whiny victim voice to strength? Because it's really a power from within is what you're talking about, like in the voice harmonic.
You can spend time working on your voice. You can change your entire personality that way. The Atlanteans worked with crystal skulls. I used to think they were morbid because I always thought of them in death.
Okay, I have to tell you really quick.
Yeah.
I experienced Max, the crystal skull.
Oh, wasn't that great?
20 years ago. But I wish I knew then what I know now. I don't think I took great advantage of that experience, but I think the crystal skulls are amazing, and I want you to tell us more about it. And two, I want you to address like where are they now? I haven't kept up with him in all these years. Who has him and where they're showing him and where you can go out and meet him again. But please tell us too about that part of it as well. Add that to what you were just going to say.
The Atlanteans use skulls, I believe, because we have skulls. And they could put all this knowledge, information, download into a crystal skull and know that we have crystal in the center of our head, in the pineal gland. Think that our computers are talking because they have silicone crystal chips. And they're sending signals all over and receiving them. And this is what the skulls were doing. The skulls also crystal anything, but crystal especially as consciousness and a high consciousness. So you can combine the energy that can go to you for downloads in a skull and to Max or the other. There was 12. There was one in the 12 Atlantean temples. You can connect to them through intent and start to download, get energies, and remember, that's what they did with them. And there's many ways to keep yourself strong. I'm just bringing up Atlantean ones because that's the topic. But with the skulls, you can link them to others through prayer. I did what I did in I sell skulls, and what I do is I did what I did in that past life thing. I create this copper sacred geometry on the floor, and then I put my skulls in the important positions, and then I do certain sounds. I've taken photographs of them, and the skulls are lighting up. They're communicating. The Seraphim Institute in Germany does photon pictures of photons, and they show crystal skulls communicating. So, and the other question you asked was where are the 12 of them? To my understanding, the 12 have not been found. That doesn't mean they're not there. They'll be found when we're ready. I think
We'll get them when we get the right frequency, don't you
that's
think?
exactly what I was going to say. You and me are right on. I was going to say we have to be responsible and we have
Yes.
to raise up to a certain level before they will allow themselves to be.
Yeah. Well, I always talk about it as a bank vault. I'm a very 3D practical visionary. And imagine that you have to have the code. You have to have the code to open up that bank vault. And your frequency is the code. It's the right combination. It can't be one number off. It can't be an eighth off. Like think of the old safe crackers, right? They're up there listening for exactly the click. And that's what we're really talking about. And when we get to that, they will reveal themselves. It wasn't that they were hiding. It's that we couldn't see them. I mean, truly hiding in plain sight, most likely.
And you can use a skull to communicate to those Atlantean skulls. I use them for downloads. I use them for healing.
So wait, hold on a second. Just any crystal skull?
I do that, yes.
Okay. And then you're just attuning them?
And I bond with it.
Okay.
And then what I've done, I activate mine. Like I said, I just do sacred geometry like I did in my vision with copper, and I put the skulls on the different points in the copper, and when I take photographs, they kind of like light up, and they just carry really high energy, and they go to the center of my head, to my crystal.
I love it.
So that's,
oh my goodness, did everybody get the recipe? Because like I said, I remember, it was at a private home that was hosting Max way back. And so you could pay for a session to go in and sit with Max. And back then, like I said, I was a Reiki master, I guess, at that time. But even in doing the limited, I wasn't able to get I didn't really feel anything. And I was like, ugh. I know I should be able to, right? I would love to come back in contact now, but I'm going to try what you just said. Copper, getting it, bonding, connecting, and getting the download. Because I somewhere within me, I feel like bringing forth the Atlantean, the knowledge and the understanding more fully than just how I have it from my own lives there. Like kind of that overview of the knowledge and the understanding and the abilities and everything that we had, and bringing it forward. It's almost like it's like the missing piece. Like we need it to go forward. Does that make sense?
I find that when Atlantis sunk, that all her jewels, if you will, went different directions on the earth. Mm-hmm. So you look at all the different healing modalities, and they're all just like arms of Atlantis. And I personally believe that we're going to start to use them together. And so we'll use the Hindu healing along with the Chinese healing, along with the Druid spells, along with the Ho'oponopono. And I think that the pieces are there. We just need to start bringing them together. And another thing we haven't talked about, which we got to because it's so super, is the Akashic records.
Yes.
And my understanding with Akashic records is that everything's energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it does change. So when I have a life and I do things, think things, feel things, I'm creating every moment. So when I die, where's it go? Does it get deleted? And no, it doesn't, because that's not what we know about science. So what happens to it? It all resonates with me, and I feel that the Akashic Record Hall is a term, or in ancient Atlantis, they would believe that the record hall was definitely there. They would believe it's in the fifth dimension, the big opalescent pyramid, and in there are housed these different records. And it's all, you can go in there and look at all of yous from many lives. And then you can see the harmonics, my dear. You can see the harmonics life after life. It's just like they ripple. And So like, if I'm terrified of water this life, maybe I find 3 lives back, I drowned. And so I need to get over that fear back then. And when I do that, then I change today. And because it's energy, it changes. And it never dawned on me that you could change the past. But absolutely, it's energy. Like if a big, big thing comes down in your life and there's a lack of forgiveness and a split, if you forgive, if you truly forgive, your life changes. It changes everything. It changes your memories. It changes all the energy going forward. So I think that we need to understand ourselves as energy. And problems in our lives, you could call it karma, you could call it Akashic records, you could call it you sow what you reap, you could call it resonance, you could call it harmonics. But the whole concept of the Akashic records, of going back to earlier versions of you, and just even if you aren't very psychic, if you could even feel the roots of your problem and then forgive them, know you can change them. Mm-hmm. You can even go in there and say, okay, I think my country needs to forgive another, and start to work on forgiveness for larger hunks of changing. It's almost like, we're a ball of string and we're all knotted up and we're trying to unravel. And as you go into that Akashic record and you connect with past hate or past harm or loneliness, or how could you, or how come I'm all alone? Nobody wants me. I'm not good enough. You start to connect with some of these energies and feel joy and feel love. And I could just feel like all kinds of energy shifting. I'm shifting today. Because even though that's past, I'm still connected to it.
Okay, so I have so many questions. And I know that, and I want to, let's go back to Greg. Greg, I didn't forget you. Greg wanted to know if there are specific tools one may use to awaken to our possible Atlantean spiritual gifts. So how can a person, and then Sunny was asking again, like if she doesn't remember that she worked with crystals in Atlantis, will the crystal remember her? But it's sort of all the same thing. How do you reawaken and reconnect with your Atlantean gifts is kind of how I'm taking those questions.
Maybe we could do a little meditation.
Sure.
And I would say that it's very important that you honor your imagination or your daydreams. It's kind of like the past is trying to reach you, and it'll come, it'll give you an image, and then you say, "Oh, I'm just imagining that." You need to give yourself permission.
Yes, and more credit too.
Yeah.
Because you know what? My imagination was never that good, actually. I always tell people, when I'm over on the other side, like, I just am not that imaginative as a person. I'm a type A personality. Give me some math and some banking, So it's kind of funny because I'm not a storyteller. And so when I get something, it's easier for me to believe that it's not me making it up, because I just never could make up anything that interesting. But I know, right? So it's easier. I get to sort of cheat. But for everybody, they have that self-doubt. Like, am I really hearing what I'm hearing? Am I really getting what I'm getting? And I'll never forget the very first real channel. She was giving me a reading. I said to her, I don't understand. Tell me what you see. How do you see it? How do you get the answers, whatever? And she was like, there's no one way. She's like, it comes all different ways. Sometimes you see a picture, sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's just an understanding. And now, after I opened my gifts and allowed that aspect to be open, because that's another thing that many of us did, was close off those aspects, the oracle, the psychic, the ability to see other potential realities. It's not even just being psychic, it's being able to look out and see the many dimensional aspects that are happening, and seeing those roads. I always see them, like, I always try to explain it. You know, when you're in an airplane, it's nighttime and you're flying over a city and you see all the highways all lit up. That's what we're talking about, is opening that capability for yourself to see that on a multidimensional level. So there's a lot going on. So please do the meditation, and I want to add or ask if you will go back to what you were talking about before, and we got off on a tangent, surprise, surprise, about healing your voice, changing your voice. And the reason this is really catches my attention is because this is something actually I started working on over the summer. And so it was very interesting because it was with consciousness, realizing that I still had some things that I needed to work on. So anyway, I've had my own experience doing that too. So I would love it if you throw that in your meditation.
Oh, I might do that separate because the meditation's very full. But let me say I have a whole class on that. Change your voice, change your life. And I will address that some today.
Okay.
I also have a whole class on Atlantis, teaching you a multitude of ways to get into the Akashic records, use skulls, remembered past life regressions, all that kind of stuff in this package. And I'm giving a discount for it. So there's 2 ways. But
okay, good.
Let's start with, we'll just do a little meditation. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. I just want you to imagine you're on the beach, that crystalline beach, where the sand is soft and you can feel the warmth of the sun on your shoulders, and your hair blows, and you can hear the children playing and the seagulls, and the waves come in, waves go out, in, out, in, out. Your voice is holographic, all of you. I want you to imagine the highest version of you can possibly entertain. And imagine that voice of that you coming out of a water pistol down by your feet, going around in circles very fast. And it starts to slip up your body, spiral up. Now another water pistol of you, your voice, is spiraling up in the other direction, so that these 2 spirals of your highest you, all that is you, just pulsing through your body. Feel it. Energy moves. Feel it pulsing. The one to the right goes 33 times, the one to the left goes 27. They're going at different speeds, very close to the speed of light, but not quite. You feel that really high energy. You, your voice, imagine your sound, your best sound. And now, we're going to look out and we're going to see the famed Akashic record from the 5th dimension. In early Atlantis, when you were in the 5th dimension, you would go there, just like today you go to a grocery store, just there. Latter Atlantis, they had to use faith, like we do now. But we're here now, and you imagine a 2-mile-high pyramid, opalescent light. It just houses collective energies, like a library. You can go in and look at all you've ever been. We're walking close to it, and there's a door. So you see a door, and I want you to put your hand on it. Feel the gold, and open the door. And just use your imagination. You see the energy is real, and it can take any form, so you can't make a mistake. Your imagination will give you the best form to house your information. So what do you imagine? To get in there, we're going to meet Metatron. And he's walking with us to see our records. He's going to show us to a room, and they're going to put on a film. And there we are. We're going to see a film of us. And I want you just to imagine, what are you wearing on your feet? Sandals? Are you male or female? Pull up your legs. What are you wearing? A toga, a robe? What color is it? Different colors denoted different occupations, different roles in the temple. And I wish you to just now take a look at your face and look in your eyes. That's you. You when you had more skills and abilities than you do now. How do you feel right now? How do you feel while doing this meditation? Do you feel full, happy, powerful? Do you feel like you could sing? Maybe you're good in art. You're good in building, raising children, preparing food. What is it that you were really good at then that you can ingest now and awaken? You might even see geometric shapes. That's how energy can be given to you to unfold at the right moment. Connect with this person. It's you. Love this person. It's you. And this person's going to give you a beautiful gift that's you. Even if you don't see it right now, it will unfold. And I wish you to give this person that you're seeing a gift to. We know now that it was just geology that Atlantis sunk, and that we all planned to go into duality. We all planned to experience positive and negative. So let's get rid of the blaming ourselves. We all agreed to go into that gym and lift those muscles, and we knew it would hurt. So we're there in Atlantis. We all make mistakes. You bet we did. And it's okay, because that got us into 3D. So just release the guilt and release the doubt. Give that to you back then. And you're going to remember all this. Remember the feeling you feel right now. So we've blessed our past self, and we've been blessed by our past self. Metatron's going to take us back to the door. We're going to go out. And remember that we were on the beach. Sun's on our back, and the children are laughing. We start to walk faster. Faster and faster. 3, 2, 1. Back into normal waking consciousness. Remembering everything.
Wow, very interesting. So, there was some reclamation. I retrieved a sacred geometry. That was cool. And then I had some big release. So, we'll see what happens. Very good. So everybody else, write into us. What did you experience? What happened for you? Because that's, to me, always the fun part, right? It's always fun. I love retrieving things. My ears popped. So feels like another level of something. And I would love to, there's always more sharpening of our skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nani says she saw the tree of life. Awesome. Yes. I mean, this is where the ancient technology is coming back. Is that what you mean by Atlantis rising?
Yes, yes. Like you being in the role you're in now. Think of where you were 20 years ago, and now here you are showcasing all the different tribes of Atlantis and sharing.
See that? What fun.
Atlantis rising. Me, I'm doing sound codes to open up portals after I spent all those lives closing portals.
The so much of what we all have, I mean, it's the soul overall anyway. That's the Akashic records, and as we raise our frequency, we're able to access higher and higher levels of our own Akashic records. And it's really amazing how different the information is as you move along. Would you agree? Yeah. How do you see the difference?
I think to some extent it depends on what your intent is and where you're at. For example, when I do past life readings on people, if I play happy music, we'll regress to a happy life. If I play struggling music, we'll regress to a time period in which we're struggling. The music makes you feel. So when you have all those different memories in your Akashic record, I think somehow you resonate with the memory that perhaps you need most in this life. Whether it be to do a release, to forgive, to get rid of a blockage, or whether it be to remember something to help you forgive, or to remember a skill, or to learn some facts, and now you can understand your or somebody else's behavior. I don't know, I just feel it has to do with resonance, because there's so many different experiences in that record hall, and you're going to pick out one that helps you right now.
Right. Yes, I always explain it like it's a ball of yarn. Or a rubber band ball, my other favorite, right? Bounces around. But it's even harder to get it to undo itself. It seems like it really gets itself all nicely wound around itself. And the truth is that your soul, your highest self, knows the best way to unwind it. It's why always when people come, and I'm going to guess you're going to say to me, yes, happens for you too. So when people come to us for us to connect them with the healing they need, their higher self, their soul is working on something completely different than what they thought they were coming for, because that's not the way to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop.
You know how I like to explain it? As a pyramid. Sometimes, not sometimes, often, I'd like to just rise up and get better in this skill and just go straight up. But I find myself, instead, it seems like I go backwards, and I sidestep, and then I go to the right. It's like I'm in this big lazy river, and I'm trying to go south, and I'm going every which way, and I'm taking forever. But it's like I'm building a pyramid, and I take 2 steps back, 2 forward, 1 to the side, and I don't actually go up and get more consciousness until I've completed that first solid level. Then I rise. And then I do the same process where I have to repeat some lessons, learn some more skills over here, and build a really nice foundation. Then I go up and up.
The whole lesson thing is quite fascinating, because I'm sure you hear this a lot from people. I know that I do, and I know I've said it myself too. Geez, didn't I already figure this one out. Why is this one back? Right? I hear that commonly, and obviously you do too. So what is your response to that age-old question, why is this thing back?
Well, as I said, sometimes in order to go up, you really have to have a solid platform. So you have to look at a problem from so many different angles. But also, I think we pick life lessons, and they're in our personality. They're in our, like, for example, if you're a driver person, you got to learn not to drive over people. If you're a kind person, you need to learn to set boundaries. So we have lessons like those that are in our personality, that they will go until our life is over. When we stop having those, we pass. So we say, oh goody, I'm revisiting this.
Personally, I think the sooner that you can identify that you have already been through it, the faster you're able to get through it the next time. And that's the key for people. It's not to get sucked back in and be like, oh my God, I'm so terrible, this keeps happening to me. It's actually just another layer, right, another perspective of that lesson. And the faster you can just almost claim it, be like, oh, I'm here again. I see this. I recognize it. And I'm now asking for the next clearing or healing or what it is I need to know and understand in order to move through it as quickly as possible. I was doing a channeling with my Heal the Separation of the Soul group. And it was very interesting because somebody was talking about that, you know, she didn't feel like she was really getting much movement and she's been working so hard for it, etc. And the channeling that came through from the golden beings of light was about using the words, instead of thinking that it's always there and it never goes away and there's no movement, more that I'm open to the truth of whatever it is so that it can be released. And I added to my group today, when I was doing my meditation, adding the words, I'm open to the divine truth of what it is. And I want to share that because that helps everybody get to the divine truth you need to know in order to move through that lesson and get out onto the other side.
I think a really helpful thing is to expand our definition of truth. We easily get sucked into truth is lie or false, true or false.
I know, we like black and white, don't we?
Yes, we do. Then that will lock us into being very, very small. For example, I can tell, even in my voice, I can tell, because my body and my higher self, they knows more than I do. It knows the future. It knows health issues I don't. And I find that by paying attention to my voice, like when I'm not telling the truth, my voice gets higher and I kind of suck in my sounds. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's almost like I don't want that lie out there, but it's not really a lie. Like, let's say I say, oh, I'm going to go downtown in a few minutes. And I think I am. And then I go, oh, I'm going to downtown. And I just hear my whole voice like it's not true. And then that person calls up and cancels. You know, so like truth can be is so much bigger than a lie. Another friend of mine, Nikki, we were working with her voice and we were analyzing her voice and tones. And it was showing up that she was lying when she was saying she was going to go to college, and she was mad because she intended to go to college. Truth be, she's a single mom of 3, and she had to move in order to go to college. And that lie, if you will, because it's certain couple frequencies that stayed in her voice till she moved. And so, you know, that's not really so much a lie. She intended to go, but sometimes, you know, truth is acknowledging pain that you've hidden or put behind you. Sometimes truth is honoring your feelings, honoring yourself.
Right.
I mean, your truth is such a broad thing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a broad thing.
Broad.
And not only that, but it is so fluid. I mean, it truly changes. I mean, I know that just in and when you have children, it's really evident how your truth is fluid. And so, I mean, just in general, I think that part of this journey is to reach a place where you're not as attached to any of your understandings, any of your perspectives, and allow that highest truth to come in. And go ahead.
And I think that's one of the beauties of the Akashic record, is going in there and looking at past energies, past lives, just like you're going into a movie theater. So if you go into a movie theater and it's a good guy, bad guy movie, a shoot 'em up movie, you know, you could maybe even be best friends with the bad guy, and you don't judge them. You're just looking at a movie. You know, you don't get involved in the good and bad because it's just pretend. It's just a movie. And to me, when I go into that Akashic Records, I can look at my own issues like they're on that screen there, and I'm just watching them.
Right.
When I get that objectivity, it's like then I no longer stick to the pain. I don't stick to the people that are annoying. I don't stick to my hurtful situations. I don't stick to I'm not good enough. I feel guilty. All this other negative stuff. I can just observe it, and then I can manage without and choose more appropriately what I want coming up.
All right, so Jill, give us your wrap up. What is it we need to know? What is it that is really important in this moment? The special energies, whatever it is you want to share, and then we will wrap it up. And I will start right now by telling everybody that when the replay comes out, which it will tomorrow, then you will have access to Jill's her free gift and what she is offering, and you'll be able to go straight out to the website to watch this video and access Jill's information. So we want to let everybody know, because that's super cool. I love free gifts, and I love all that you're offering. I know you mentioned a special offer, so what Jill is offering will also be out there. We don't spend a lot of time talking about it, but that's where you all can go and see what Jill's up to. And if it has to do with voice and your Akashic records and raising your frequency, all of those things are pertinent and really important right now, especially as these energies are coming in, right? I mean, this is the part where the rubber meets the road, I think. I mean, we're finally here. Is it what we thought it was going to be?
Here's my wrap up. I would just say to trust life, that life brings to you what you need. And it also comes dressed up as, oh, I didn't get my way. And later on you think, oh, thank goodness. Life will bring the resolution of problems you had in Atlantis. And now you have a new opportunity to step to the plate and be the healing, be the answer. And not to get too attached to what you want, but just like look what's coming and say, oh, how's my gift? What kind of costume does my gift have today? And I think that's just a really good answer. And just so I can tell people, I do have this 6-hour class on Atlantis, and there's going to be a code to get a further discount. And it's the words, remember Atlantis, all lowercase. Remember Atlantis, all lowercase. And so, okay, so everybody will be able to access her special gift through SoulScape.tv. And then you'll be able to access her page. It's currently not live since we're doing this live. So tomorrow it'll be live. Okay, so remember Atlantis is her coupon code, and that is for a 6 series. Is that what you said? 6 hours of videos on Atlantis. Okay. And second, my spine is just realigning itself. That's perfect, because that's like your circuit breaker for your body. So when you're getting in tune or upgrading, you can tune your spine. A friend of mine, Jeffrey Thompson, a chiropractor in West Coast, he can pop your vertebrae in a second with his thumb. but he can also tune it because think of your spine like a piano, down, 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 down. Each vertebrae is a little different, and each vertebrae connects to something else. So Jeffrey did like blood tests. So I'm making these vertebrae up because I don't know the associations. But let's say vertebrae 10 is associated with your liver. If you're 10 vertebrae out, your liver's down, or something's not quite great with your liver. If you pop that vertebrae in with your thumb as a chiropractor, you correct the spine, and the liver is still a problem. If you tune that vertebrae, it will pop into place. It takes about 5 minutes instead of a second. But the liver will return to proper functioning. Think of that.
So it has to be from the meditation. See, it took a few minutes.
Yeah.
Good. See that, everybody? So listen again, even to her meditation, and get her free gift and go out and choose the special offer. I know it'll be amazing. And at this time in our evolutionary path, it's super important to follow your gut knowing about what pieces are missing for you. And it is all about bringing together all the pieces so that you become whole, like that whole energetic field, your light bodies, everything. It's time for us to move it all together to become nice and compact and really fluid. And so that we are not walking around distorted in any way. I don't know why I use that word, but it's always fascinating to me, the words that come out, because I generally talk about disconnection and separation, that there are aspects of ourselves that are disconnected and separated. But suddenly when I was speaking, you know, those old whirly cues, almost like the cosmic heart behind me. And when they get to really spin really fast, remember them? And it's like, it's distorted. And it's almost like part of the frequency shifts that are happening. We may end up feeling just a smidge distorted because we are becoming more fluid, even in the physical. It's kind of, it can be like feeling like a bobblehead sometimes. I was looking them up on Amazon the other day, bobbleheads. And I was like, oh my goodness, isn't that funny? Sometimes you just truly feel like a bobblehead. Anyway, all right. We just want to say thank you. Thank you. Sonny says, thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Be sure to check out the replay and her special offers tomorrow on SoulScape.tv. And I thank you, Jill, for sharing everything that you did tonight about the Atlanteans and the skulls and the harmonics and just all of it. It's really powerful. And everybody, you know, Jill has just great energy. So thank you very much, sweetheart. All right, everybody. Thank you. Namaste. See you next week for our final live show of the SoulScape Show for this season. And then we'll be back in 2020. All right, everyone. Good night. Mwah. Namaste. Thank you for joining us on the SoulScape.tv show. Go to SoulScape.tv to access the many free gifts from our guests and for more great masterclasses and panelist discussions.